with people coming from other LCS teams, having other experience from other LCS teams. So we definitely feel strong. I think we can pass the first round, and that's our minimum expectation for the tournament. And everything above that is just extra.
I'm really happy that we can be here instead of Fnatic and show our new roster, and we will not disappoint EU.
Right now for us, everyone has good game knowledge, so the shot calling is based on that. Everyone can contribute to it, and we put our ideas together and work together as a unit.
I think we have really motivated players on our roster and really aggressive players. We will most likely win our lanes.
We have some innovative picks in our pockets, but not the caliber of a jungle TF. But we will bring out something new, I think.
I can't play jungle TF, but I can play a better Lee Sin than Kiki's.
Welcome back, everyone, and I have good news. We should be jumping right in, and as we start to take a look at the pick and ban, I mean, you know, they mentioned it themselves, and you can't help but imagine. Granted, last year was on the preseason patch and whatnot, and the opportunity was there. When you make a splash like that with crazy picks, that kind of sticks with you. It's like when you see an actor in some silly role the first time and it's a hit, it's a blockbuster hit, you're like, all right, well, that's that guy. He's the funny guy, or he's a Napoleon Dynamite guy. Like, that's just how you think of people, and you look at Unicorns, you're like, well, they're the Jungle TF team. See if they pull something out.
Why are teams banning Lulu on blue side? It's been happening all day today. I'm not...
Well, I don't know why. You tell me, Saint. We brought you on this desperate reason.
So I'm not really sure either.
No.
Gangplank on blue side is really odd too. So CLG, they might have some info from scrims that we do not, because Gangplank has been a very powerful pick, but it's very slow to scale and it's very vulnerable in the early to mid stages of the game.
I mean, the thing that's confusing me most today is the utter lack of Ryze pick and ban. I mean, this is a very potent champion that has just fallen off the wayside, and it's not following the pattern that the Kespa Cup was in on this very same patch.
I feel like you have to be a Ryze player to play Ryze. I've seen a lot, like after Faker played Ryze, it was like, wow, I can do it too. I'm a great Ryze player. And then they tried to play Ryze, and it's like, why is this 0-15 guy in my game? I can't believe this. So I kind of feel like that's why.
I mean, also with the Lulu and the GP, I mean, if you were to possibly make an argument, and we've seen SKT do this sometimes, even them when they play EasyUn or when they play Faker, those ban out certain things that they know EasyUn just isn't going to play, but is strong in the current meta, like other assassins or whatnot.
Oh, there's the Ryze right there.
Finally.
And there is the Ryze. The Kindred was banned out.
Yeah.
The Elise.
I guess maybe Smithy doesn't play Kindred? Not too sure.
Maybe.
It's kind of sad.
should everyone be playing Kindred?
Yeah, it's so... I mean, not only is it like an amazing champion, when I go into solo queue and I play jungle, I'm like, if I don't get Kindred, I don't even want to play jungle. Because that's just how fun it is. It's so fun.
Well, it does change the nature of the draft pretty substantially, though, because it's such a unique champion in the jungle that it does allow you to actually have some more flexibility in your solo lanes and open up picks that you might not otherwise have, because high damage viable junglers are a rarity.
That's
so
true.
It allows you maybe to go with more tanks than you otherwise would be in the current meta out of your solo lanes.
Well, I think that just goes to Smithy's playstyle more. I mean, he's obviously known as a Gragas player. He played it pretty much almost every game that it was up. He played, Echo and Gragas every single game last season, so... I'm not too surprised to see that here, or the preference for it.
All right, and just signing things through some fan favorites. Not so positive we'll see those locked in. Tristana would be more in line. Nothing else too interesting except for the Ryze. We'll have to see how he does. I mean,
it could be top as well.
Oh, could be. You're right.
Some people I've actually seen playing Ryze into Fiora in a lot of the melee matchups. It's actually really good.
Okay.
As long as you don't just get screwed in the early game. The key point is managing the wave and freezing the wave in front of your turret.
I've heard that if you don't lose, then you win.
Well, so, okay, all right, hold on. Let me rephrase. It's all about managing the wave. Like, the real difference between a good Ryze player and a great Ryze player is how they manage the wave. And all that comes from the level 1 and how you set it up. If the Ryze can get the wave to the point where it's stuck in front of his turret, then you just pretty much won the Ryze lane. It's not about winning the lane or fighting the lane. It's like, I just got to make sure I don't die.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And one of the big reasons that Ryze came to popularity, obviously, in this patch is we see a lot of it be about early tower pressure. And while Ryze himself is really bad at pushing the waves and individually at damaging a tower, when paired with a team, the threat of that chain point-and-click CC is so great that teams just have to respect that and back off the tower or risk just getting crushed, because he will lock you down and he will, I mean, kill you in an instant. This guy is so strong on the current patch.
Oh, baby, give me that Warwick. Hey, Warwick has played a lot last time we were here.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
For some odd reason.
We talk about those matchups in the top lane, and even though it didn't happen with SKT, I did see Marin playing a lot of Ryze and solo queue around Worlds, so it was at least a threat of a flex pick from SKT, and now the Renekton's in there, and that, you know, Renekton has to get in there to do damage, and he will get rocked by a Ryze if you could just keep straight chaining him down, because the whole point of Renekton trades is to slice in and dice out very quickly, and so you basically slice and stun and try and get out before they have an answer to you, but Ryze really is not going to let him do that, so if it is a top lane Ryze, it could be pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a really good matchup, actually, but I guess they're not going to go with it. But
all
right.
Well, they picked Fiora into Renekton, too. That's really odd. A lot of people consider Renekton to be a counter to Fiora just because it's so hard to repose the Renekton stun, and it's kind of interesting to see them just pick that straight up. Maybe they're going to lane swap or something?
I mean, I feel it is a skill matchup because you can riposte the stun,
Right,
but
and
it is very hard to detect that animation coming in and be fast enough to do it. So it's tough, for sure.
Yeah, I like the way you put it, though. I mean, if he does get the riposte, then, of course, tides turn immediately. For Unicorns, just looking at one last pick, Morgana, of course, was the last one for CLG. So that's all set. Ryze will be in that mid lane.
I like the Morgana versus Thresh. That's a smart pick. And then they picked LeBlanc as well. That's just going to be really good. You can just black shield anybody who tries to go on and pop or chain. And if you hit LeBlanc with a bind as she's coming in, she's instantly dead. So. And they also have a Ryze route as well. So they have a lot of ways of catching LeBlanc out. All right, I'm glad they didn't go to LeBlanc there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was looking a little scary. We're in a, as we discussed earlier, and you know, if you've been playing League of Legends for even a year and a half, you're going to find out very regularly that Orianna is always going to be a relatively safe pick in mid.
The one thing I will say about Unicorns of Love composition is that they have a lot of power in the early game and a lot of comfort here. Gilius, of course, like most junglers, is comfortable on this Lee Sin pick. Additionally, Hylissang gets up his Thresh, one of those trademark kind of pick, skill shot-based champions. And with all that early game power, it's very possible for this team to find an advantage early and just to keep snowballing that. If they don't, however, we'll see them in a similar situation as we saw LGD, where they'll just start to fall behind as the game moves forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think CLG has a much better scaling team, too. If they can just maintain the lanes and just not get crushed, I think I just definitely give it to CLG just looking at the ban pick.
Yeah, I got to agree with you.
All right, we'll wait and find out. CLG, can they just hold on just a little bit in the early part to get their first win here in San Jose? Or will Unicorns of Love come out hitting strong in game number 1? Time to find out in this best of 3 between the two teams, ladies and gentlemen. Going over to the commentary desk, it will be Doa, Crepo, and Freak bringing you the game.
All right, thank you, Chobran. We are ready to get into it. Unicorns of Love versus CLG here at IM San Jose. Of course, I am Doa. There is Freak, and to my right is Crepo. We'll be casting this best of 3 for you, and it's going to be... What did you do behind me? I wasn't even looking into the monitor.
I pointed.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened right there.
I can't take this guy. Anyway, guys, Unicorns of Love versus CLG. A lot of changes on both these teams. Yeah. CLG especially losing Doublelift. This one is extremely, extremely hard to predict.
Yeah, I mean, it's 5 returning players total, you know, across these two teams here. Yeah, there we go. We got the math sorted out here. Half the roster on average did change here. He at least was a sub for Counterlogic Gaming. We just haven't seen him for so very long. I mean, at least the rest of Unicorns of Love we've like seen play League of Legends in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I feel like CLG has the upper hand in this matchup because they maintain most of the framework of this roster. They have still the top jungle synergy, for example. They have 3 remaining members. Afremu did the majority of the shot calling from what I remember out of interviews. So overall, it should be easy to plug and play Stixie and Hui as opposed to Unicorns of Love, whose identity has entirely changed with these 3 new roster pickups.
That's right, and that's really the question now. I mean, you've got players like Afremu that are kind of the elder statesmen on the team now. Can they keep it all together? And it is time to move on to Summoner's Rifts as the team are already moving across CLG. Able to find Visi Chachi up in the top lane. They're going to force him back, maybe get a couple early wards down.
And it's just going to be the standard sort of deep invade, getting wards to spot out where the jungle starts. You can, the very worst process of elimination, the entire thing. And that's really nice by Smithy. That's a good play because otherwise Visi Chachi could have auto-attacked W, killed the ward off. So nice of him to understand the sort of small matchup he's in and play around it.
I would have liked to see a 2v2 because I think watching a Thresh versus Morgana lane is always fascinating, trading the cooldowns from Hook and Black Shield and then hitting in with the second hook. But it does look like CLG is more comfortable, at least facilitating lane swap here, dodging that Renekton Fiora matchup that the analyst desk touched upon earlier.
Now, do you feel like CLG initiating this lane swap wants to kind of keep things as safe as they can for Stixxay coming in here? A lot of pressure on this guy to perform. I mean, double lift shoes are massive to fill. And I'm speaking metaphorically. I don't know what size his feet are in real life, but Stixxay's got a lot to live up to, man.
I think you can't come in and like try to protect him and hide whatnot. I think there's two reasons why. One, you're CLG, you just won the North American LCS, like you should be trying to stay on the top end of the spectrum, which means you've got to keep playing to win. Also, he's up against a you know, pretty good training wheels matchup there. Steelback, not a very good laner in his own right, so 2-on-2 wise, it should also be fine.
I'm not sure what went through CLG's heads here, because they actually went for the initial lane swap. They had the wards to see if UOL were counter swapping. Almost feels like a mind game gone wrong, because they only picked up the small Krug here, whereas UOL bot lane got an entire camp on the Grump.
Yeah, we do have that 2v2 now.
Slight improvement though. The new Grump is kiteable, so you can pull it out even farther and get closer to the lane. So waiting for teams to optimize that.
That's true. Small gameplay there. Either way, it is still level 2 first for CLG.
Yeah.
They did one small Krug, then walked into the lane right away.
Just started pushing.
Yeah, and then of course it's Tristana, so it's going to be a long time until UOL can trade back. And because CLG has a minion wave at all times, it's very easy to hide behind and never get threshooked.
Yeah.
Very true. Mid lane battle between Huhi and Fox, of course. We taking a little bit of damage early on, but that rise, it takes a while to power up.
Yeah, this matchup should definitely be in Orianna's favor. She's actually like notorious for just auto pushing the lane in the early game, and against a champion like Rise, he's kind of fine with it because he can CS very well on the tower. He has a lot of spells on relatively low mana cost that he can use to prep those minions and to make sure he stays even in CS. And you know,
after move hooked right on the Flame Choppers. Black Shields before it. Actually, they didn't quite hook him in the right place.
That play actually temporarily put him outside of the jumpers, I think, allowing Afro to actually Black Shield himself. I think if there wasn't a flay right there, we would have seen the chain CC.
Although, to be fair, the flay kept him from Black Shielding for longer. So, like, as soon as the hook ends, he gets to walk away regardless. So it's, you know, it's kind of like neither way is he going to die. Either way, that's down.
Smithy coming in. Steelback throws in the warning. Smithy over the wall. There's the stun. Steelback could be in a bit of trouble. Nice play from Hillsang, though, to keep CLG back. No kills yet in this one.
That bind missing from Aftermath was such a big deal right there. Nice play by Smithy. He's actually on top of his game right now, trying to cancel out the lantern, but first Gilius coming to the mid lane.
Here we go. Gilius onto Huhi. Fox tries to slow him down a little bit. Huhi on the run. Still has both summoners available. Might have to burn one to get away. Smithy trying to protect his mid laner. Huhi turns around. He trapped Gilius in the rune prison for the moment. Now Darshan comes down. Zion Spartan engaging onto Gilius. Gilius getting very low. Can they possibly kill him though?
Yeah.
I think they can. First blood goes to CLG Darshan.
Yeah, immediate reaction. He had teleport still available because I imagine they started on the left side of the map, so he walked straight to lane, and that left teleport advantage here. Vizic had to use his teleport to get back to lane early, so CLG capitalizing on that very well, and just baiting it out.
I'm still getting used to calling him Darshan instead of Zion Spartan. This is tough to adjust.
I was at least used to it because everyone calls him that in the NALCS studio, so I'm already ready for that name. But first of all, Steelback missing his summoners. Oh, nice play by Hillsong. Wow. Oh, doesn't pull Steelback far enough away through the ground, so it will be a kill picked up. Nice attempt in the play all the same.
Sorry, that's what Hillsang's saying right now.
Yeah,
like, oh, sorry, man. Meant to take you a little bit farther. CLG getting a lot of damage done on this turret because of it too.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite moves in the early game, just moving two people towards the bot side of the map and faking the dive. Even if they know it's coming, they lose so much. If they lose that entire wave and a half and the tower damage, the play is already worth in itself. In addition to that, if you burn a flash and a kill, that is such a good move because all you maybe lose in the mid lane is like one wave pushed you to the tower.
And contrast this to what we saw with TSM, who had 2-0 their series, how much more crisp this CLG looks. You talked about the fact that the core of this team is still here. All the big voices, all the important parts are still the same. And you can see these really crisp plays by CLG already 2-0. And they're even happy to focus down on this bottom lane. That turret already nearly dead. Stixxay's lane, he's the new guy.
Yeah, the one moment here, the saving grace for Unicorns of Love will be the teleport cooldown now coming into Vizicachi's favor. That's going to come up while it's still down for Darshan. So we need to see if they can use that pushing matchup in the top lane. Remember, Chachi was always spending all that time in the top lane, so he should have an experience advantage and a teleport advantage. We need to see if the Unicorns can get a deep ward somewhere and bend that advantage into their favor to start snowballing back, because otherwise CLG are going to get comfortable with his lead.
The thing is, I actually just checked, Vizicachi actually not up in XP or in gold despite this 9 CS lead here. Darshan got enough XP from his exploits in the mid lane, so there's no advantages to speak of at all for UOL.
I mean, they've got at least a little bit of time before this Rise starts to really get scary. Still just stacking that tier right now. Even with 1 kill, 1 assist, he's not putting out a ton of damage at the moment. So they've got a small window, but it's closing already.
Yeah, and if you look at the item purchases, having to go the low econ route with the instant Avers Blade, while Stixxay is now on 49 CS, the mark of a BF sword generally is 55 creeps. If you do it a little slower, if you're not CSing perfectly, that number obviously goes down due to global gold, but we'll soon see a BF into Avers matchup. Already 20 CS differential there in the bot lane, so not looking too great for Steelback and Hylissang.
It's great for Stixxay. I mean, as someone coming in with this being one of his first professional matches in front of this crowd, you really couldn't ask for a better start AD carry versus AD carry.
Gets the babysit though. It helps if 2 people walk into you. It does. Go behind your tower, say, okay, we'll burn the flash, get a kill, and walk out. Gets hooked here though.
Babysitting needed. Stixxay in a little bit of trouble, able to get out because of that black shield though. Got to use a rocket jump to escape.
A little bit of miscommunication. CLG's bot lane actually only wanted to push in the wave and get the reset and then get out of there, but Afrim was placing a security warder in the brush, and Stixxay he walked out of black shield range.
Yeah,
that's the most
respect the hook.
Gotta respect the tether range. You know, you always have to be in black shield range. So if you do get hooked, at least you can avoid the trap from long.
Yeah, Afrim is definitely ready to help out. Stixxay no deaths yet. Afrim's going to have to do a little bit of support wave clearing, but he's pulling the minions away from the tower, which is going to delay that nicely.
And right now, Steelback and Hylissang, they don't have the time to push in this wave really because Stixxay's coming back from base with a BF sword, so they want to base and kind of match that too. So that's the process is going on in their heads right there.
Right. Darshan duking it out with Vizichachi up in this top lane, and you know, at Worlds, we saw this matchup go mostly in Renekton's favor.
And it is right now as well. You can look at the scoreline. It's going to be like 50, I guess, to 70, but plus 20 CS is still a pretty sizable margin. The gold actually is getting closer and closer despite this first blood goal that Darshan had. So, you know, Vizichachi is making up for lost time, so 1,000 gold difference, but we talk about the difference in items in the bot lane, the fact that this turret is not long for the world down there. Smithy's coming back up to the top lane here as well. It's a lot of good things for CLG.
Vizichachi could be in a little bit of trouble here. He's got both summoners available. Looks like he knows what's up. Should be able to escape. We'll see. They're going to try. CLG with their best go. Nice explosive.
Gotta be careful.
Whoa! There's a kill on the Darshan. So Vizichachi easily coming out ahead on this one. Meanwhile, Hui finds Fox. Shockwave doesn't hit. He called the ball back a bit too early.
I think he thought his Q was back in cooldown, and it wasn't. I think he expected a QR and was like, oh, I'm a quarter second off. My bad, guys.
Yeah.
Awkward. I like to read from Unicorns of Love on that one because the play they were looking for initially, let's get back to that later, but seeing a dive here.
Dive time, xMithy in a lot of trouble. He's going to go down immediately. Gilius with a kill there. Aftermove trying to drive Unicorns of Love away from the turret. He'll be able to do that, but the teleport coming in from Darshan. Vizichachi deep behind enemy lines here.
I don't getting out from this one. Oh, the bind hits, and they get the kill over Darshan. That was actually really big. He wouldn't have gotten any assist credit or anything, so just barely the Renekton surviving long enough gives gold to the optimal place on CLG, and even with that dive going the way it did, it's a 2-to-1 long term for UOL, but the bot turret died.
It was the right move from the Unicorns to cover Chachi in the top lane because there wasn't any teleport wards placed in the bottom, so they couldn't use their strong member to cover their weak lanes. So they made the weak lane a 1v1 farm fest and rotated their jungler support up to the top lane, so that was good. But a couple of minor misplay.
Maybe in trouble. It's a 3v1 as he tries to escape. Rocket jump out of the way. Teleport coming in, but they're still going to chase. There's a black shield out for move. There to save his carry. Whoa! Mega Rocket not quite doing enough. Gilius has to escape. Stixxay so near death yet again.
That was really silly by Gilius, though. He does magic damage. Black shield was on. There was no chance he was going to kill off double, or I was going to say double as Stixxay right there. I mean, thing is, he was like caught behind a dead turret, like trying to outplay to get away. It's basically like CLG picked up where they left off, but the fact that turned into nothing is a huge, really unfortunate thing for UOL as mid's getting pushed in, TPs are getting burned, and he's going to be fine.
Vizichachi uses his teleport just to force Rise away. Rise could be in a little bit of trouble. Hylissang looking for a catch, can't do it. xMithy and Eframu are right there. There's a play. Eframu could be in a little bit of trouble. Shockwave uses one. There's a kill for Unicorns of Love. Fox picks that one up.
Really solid by Hylissang. He broke the black shield, or managed to, and then got the rest of the CC in there. Shockwave into the box, no chance to get away. But because Vizichachi had to TP into the mid lane to hold a lane up, well, top lane got pushed, and Darshan killed the turret, and Unicorns of Love kind of keep picking up scraps, and they're always a step behind CLG.
Well, they're going to pick up a little bit more than a scrap this time, as it looks like Dragon may get taken. xMiffy thought about coming in there for the steal, but...
Yeah, but even that's not as good as the turret.
Yeah.
Hylissang using the fact that he has a level 3 Flay right there to do some damage to the Black Shield, then uses his auto attack, which has a part magic damage. That broke to Black Shield. Immediately the hook came out. So he definitely understands this Thresh Morgana matchup. He has these little intricacies where you basically play around the Black Shield, gets a hook and after they get a kill and a Dragon to boot.
Very nice.
Definitely impressive. 122 is the max magic damage that deals, and Black Shield is only worth 84.
Whoa.
So yeah, I think just a straight auto actually is enough sometimes to do it. Vizicsacsi just bound up in range, can't, or does get away from the tether just barely. He'll survive for now, but I mean, CLG, again, playing the exact same. You remember this from Worlds? Hey, group up at 12 minutes after Sana pushed down a mid lane turret. It's the same CLG and it's working.
It does sound familiar, doesn't it? Hylissang has to back off just a moment. 6A helping push that lane. Turret getting very, very low. I think Aframu flashed Dark Binding for that last engage, if I saw that right. That was ambitious. xMiffy coming around the side. Hylissang looking for a grab, and he will not quite get one. I think that turret's gone. Yes, it is. All 3 outer turrets taken by CLG.
Yeah, we see here miscommunication on the side of Unicorns of Love. Really, like, engage on a hook is fine from Hylissang if your AD carries around. You can then start soaking damage to get damage return from your AD carry. So lack of communication there because Steelback wasn't there. At the side of CLG, though, it's like we talked about before. The framework is still there. They're playing a similar style with just different players, and the new players seem to be pulling their weight. So CLG comfortable so far in this match.
Do you think part of what was the problem for CLG earlier is that you had, Doublelift kind of making his own moves going on? Never mind, we're going to think about that later. Gilius helping to chase.
Can he outplay
Darshan. There's a chilling
Doesn't even
smite.
need to. Just press a Q a couple of times. Darshan's fine. Does not repose that one, though. Still getting chunked out a bit, but yeah, just happy to play very aggressively here. Interesting that he's going Black Cleaver first on the Fiora as well. That's actually very atypical. It's a much tankier build. Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, they have a Ryze and a Tristan. It's not like he needs to do more damage, so I'm actually glad to see a bit of an adapted item build on that Fiora.
What I was asking before that gank was, do you think not having Doublelift actually helps him pull off the strategy better?
That's under the assumption that because ego gets in the way of communication that much.
Right.
And you would think an organization like CLG would have at least addressed those problems.
And getting Trist out of the lane, getting the BS or getting to mid requires you to push out your bottom lane. Double is one of the very best laners North America has ever had as far as AD carries are concerned. Now, to be fair, CLG have still managed to win the bot lane without him, so that still worked out. But a part of the strategy is being able to get out of your lane.
I mean, we'll have to see how this evolves for CLG. This is obviously the first game of the new lineup. We don't really know. They did get help too. Sticks in and Aframo were assisted there by Hui and xMiffy roaming down, which came then to the snowball effect from Darshan teleporting mid. So there was this teamwork overall across the board from CLG, really using their resources as a team and getting the key players ahead.
CLG just with all the pressure across the map right now, nice little gold lead, but more than that, getting those deep wards in, pushing down every single lane, taking out the wards of Unicorns of Love. They're going to spot Vizicsacsi right there, a hook onto Hylissang, but they can't really follow that up. UOL should push CLG back a little bit here.
Yeah, look at that deep vision. Deep vision supplemented by 1-3-1 push here. Darshan should be fine in the top lane. He can poke him whenever he wants. If he respects the members coming in, that'll leave Stixay with some push in the bottom. They've even moved over Fox to the bottom lane already.
Dark Binding, Vizicsacsi has that ult activated. It's going to run out soon after move. Not hooked. Whoa! Hylissang goes in. Explosive cast pushes. Thresh back. They're going to go ahead and take out Aframu right away. Darshan in a little bit of trouble. Hylissang gets taken on. There's a nice heal coming in from that ultimate on Fiora. And CLG trades 1 for 1 and still keeps the pressure on this top lane.
That's impressive by CLG. They managed to actually turn that one around to anything at all because of how thoroughly caught out he was.
Yeah.
The hook itself broke the Black Shield, making Flay easy, making the Renekton stun easy. And yet still, CLG managed to pick one up.
This is why one of the reasons I don't like putting any points in Tormented Soil on Morgana, because the Black Shield received a small nerf a long time ago, and actually going double point in Black Shield avoids a lot of these scenarios where Flay auto breaks your hook, and at the same time, just a straight up hook breaks the Black Shield. So you really want to just put a couple more points into Black Shield early game to avoid those easy outplay scenarios for Thresh, but Unicorns of Love that did capitalize on the situation.
Makes sense.
Very energetic crowd here in San Jose. Of course, multiple games going on, and looks like American teams are doing well in many esports here today. Darshan TPing in behind, and that's a
binding onto Vizicachi, but it's Steel back that is this target. He flashes away, but not much more to do. Summoner heal doesn't mean much with the slow, and Steelback will be the first kill. Now Vizicachi's next flash the way, gets out of the skill shot. CLG, 5 kills.
I'm a bit surprised, honestly. Vizicachi didn't have his ultimate at the start of that. I thought if anyone was going to go down, it was going to be him, but managed to slice and dice his way out of there.
And all the move speed and damage from Darshan was aimed at the 80 carry, and to be fair, I'd rather kill the Jinx anyway, so solid stuff. And still got both of his summoners as well, so like an entire waste of summoners by Steelback.
Meanwhile, check out this replay from the bottom lane. Dixay trying to keep himself alive, but I don't think that's going to work out.
Nope. Walk
Easy
at him,
kill.
hold the flay till it's too late for it to matter. Make sure Rocket Jump can't do anything.
Finally,
play.
another game we can say Fox OP. It's 2 games
Nice. It's true. Actually, I don't know, man. Fox is there's a lot of like Swedish players named Fox in various shooters.
Oh,
And he tends to be very good at all of them.
maybe quite a few then.
And then also you got League of Legends. So he's German though in this one, but
It's more of a 1v1 scenario, right? Final destination items, let's go.
yeah.
Except for Pokeballs.
Yeah.
Always.
Always allowed
Always.
Pokeballs.
Yes. Dragon's back, and we'll see if Unicorns of Love can claim their second one, or if CLG can claim their first. First fight in the mid lane. It looks like Hui, a little bit of trouble. Nice explosive cast. Hui in a lot of trouble, though. Kill for Unicorns of Love, but one right on the other side. Sixay picks one up on Hylissang.
Yeah, Hylissang just trading his life. He's not afraid to go in constantly. You've seen him go in and have to flash out, but he's making these plays. He knows if he trades 1-for-1 support for any other role in the game, he's probably doing his team a service, and that allows him to pick up, just another dragon here. Number 2.
Yeah, and as the game goes on, that amount of dragons will get scarier and scarier. Obviously, that 5th dragon stack, super strong, and if Unicorns of Love can get that, it could certainly turn things around. This game is still fairly wide open.
Oh. All is well. Yeah. So Unicorns of Love stacking the dragons. They're still behind in gold quite a bit though. 3,000 is a moderate lead, actually, to be fair. They've still not picked up any turrets, so there's some gold waiting to be gained if they can ever win a fight sizably. There's like very easy turrets to kill to tie the game back up, but CLG may not let that happen. Of course, the Rise still stacking up nicely. 6 stacks in the Rod of Ages. Tear of the Goddess practically full here 90% of the way. So CLG's basically online as soon as Tristana finishes her next big item.
Yeah, what happened to Hui there? Hang on. Hylissang caught in the river.
Yeah, I think they found Hylissang. This should be a pretty easy kill for CLG. Hui gets a killing blow on that one. And Hylissang cannot get caught out like that.
Yeah, you have to wonder,
game.
why is he there at this point in the game?
Yeah,
like you have the information. They have enough deep wards to know where CLG isn't. Therefore, by extrapolation, you should know where they likely are to be, and you should not be warding not in your own anyway. So overall, what happened to Hui in that fight, though, that's what Unicorns of Love are looking for right now. Chain CC, because you can't keep that Rise alive long enough, because continuous late game damage will definitely be on CLG's side.
After move. Speaking of supports getting caught out, throws on a ward, gets stunned immediately. Vizicachi trying to get to a slice and dice. Dodges that Dark Binding. Not enough support to really go through with that one.
Wow. Achilles now coming across. Nice flash into kick. It prevents Darshan from getting an easy riposte in this one. Still more damage coming through. He's going to land the slow on towards Lee Sin to try to get a bit more away. Another Q does not trigger onto Lee Sin, so not a reduced cooldown, though. This could be more. There's the rocket. Riposte the damage, but doesn't even matter. Enough comes through, and a kill picked up on the top lane for Unicorns of Love.
It's pretty sick seeing him riposte that ultimate, but not quite enough. And that's going to be probably the first turn of the game for Unicorns of Love. Looks like it is.
It could turn into more, but CLG happy to make a cross-map play here. Vizicachi and Fox by themselves, and wow! Smithy lands the body slam flash. He's been playing so well today, and a tier 2 turret goes down.
Smithy's Gragas play, especially his ultimates, have been extremely good all game long. He has set up so many kills for his teammates. Takes one for himself right there.
That's exceptional.
Really is. CLG needs it.
Yeah, CLG seem to be the strategically coherent team in this match. You know, yes, Darshan is getting caught in the top lane. He then uses riposte to buy just a little bit more time. At the same time, CLG in the bot lane just cross-mapping, getting objectives. It's reflected right here. Unicorns of Love have picked up 1 tower, CLG have 4. Yeah. They're definitely playing the map. But we've seen CLG falter, make that one mistake that allows the other team to kind of equalize these towers, and suddenly the goal is even again. So to see if they can actually drive this advantage home. And yeah, body slam flash. I think Fox cleanses here and gets bound immediately again or snared by the Rise. I'm not sure if you really want to waste cleanse there.
Binding hit him afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, when you're in 4 people.
I think he thought he could cleanse flash out because there's no summoners left on Gragas, but yeah, did not work out. Unfortunate there for Fox. as he was dropped, and CLG have actually pushed their lead just a little bit farther now. Baron's back up, and you wonder if they're going to be ready to prep that at all times.
You know, and kind of going on behind all this too, Huhi has been powering up. He's 2-1-3 in kills now. He's had that Rod of Aegis done for a little while. He's got the needlessly large rod on top of it. The damage out of this Rise is starting to get very, very significant.
Oh, it's a really big deal here, especially if you compare the AD carries, just to like continue the trend of who's got more damage here. Completed Static Shiv to just the average blade is huge, especially because Jinx needs attack speed items to function in rocket form. Smithy's honestly just going to be fine here. The hook. Oh, actually, this could mean a little bit more. Black Shield's going to keep Smithy safe, though. He should walk away all right.
That was a close one, though. Even Baron getting in on the damage. Rocket used. But ex-Smithy's teammates block it for him.
Yeah, the Unicorns need to race mid right now because we have Darshan pushing in the bot lane, and they need to give him incentive to stop pushing and come help his team here in the mid lane, potentially flank. And then at the same time, the Unicorns need to be careful.
Yeah, that turret's going to get taken out. Unicorns of Love claiming their second, and the momentum, at least turret-wise, shifting a little bit here.
Now, one thing I do want to talk about Steelback a little bit. When he played the North American Challenger Series, he actually added a lot of intelligent shot calling to the team, just his experience playing on the world stage, playing with Fnatic and whatnot. He actually transformed the team pretty much overnight when he joined. Him adding a little bit more control to Unicorns of Love. I know they're not like full CLG status yet, but having Steelback there to push turrets down and playing a demolitionist like Jinx will kind of help Unicorns play a stronger style if they ever do get ahead.
Minions pushed all the way up the bottom lane to that inhibitor turret. Darshan on that Fiora keeping a lot of pressure going.
Yeah, we need to see if CLG have learned to perfect deep vision into Baron baits, because it's such an elaborate setup where if you make one mistake in the 2, 3, 4 steps, however you define it, all your work is gone.
Yeah.
Like, you really need to push out your lanes, get deep vision, then push them out again, and then use that Fog of War to your advantage to do either get the Baron or facilitate a bait. Very often we've seen CLG, or in the later stages at Worlds at least, they did 1, 2, and 3 right, or somewhere along the line they let somebody slip in one ward, and suddenly all that time you spent in the jungle not farming, not getting creeps, not getting any experience goes to waste.
CLG deep in the enemy jungle right now, trying to find a pick. Gilius close by. Meanwhile, a little bit of action in the bot lane, and Darshan duels with Visichachi, who has to flee back to his turret. CLG found out in the other jungle, though.
Yep. And now they have to go back and kind of like start pushing these lanes or hover awkwardly around Baron, because look at mid, look at top lane, that both are pushing into CLG. It's kind of the situation you want to go into. Yep.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier in the cast about Unicorns of Love knowing where CLG aren't. They had seen them come up through the jungle, through that one where they just timed out here, realized, okay, let's hide inside of the jungle, let's wait, they're in there somewhere in the fog, let's chill, and CLG gets nothing from all that time. Look for something else here. Hillsong hasted up, can't find a hook.
Yeah, Darshan, meanwhile, finds Visichachi. Visichachi uses that ultimate immediately. He needs the tanky stats. Darshan, though, waiting. Can he kill him? There's the ultimate. He's going for it. Stun. Oh, the flash from Visichachi. He'll escape, but just barely.
Still a big trade in health bars and summoner spells here. CLG are completely ahead on the map, which means they get this dragon. No contest. Number 1 for them by this stage, actually. A sizable amount of stats added to the rosters. That's actually fairly relevant here in terms of teamfight effectiveness now, having a dragon.
Well, that slows down the 5th dragon for Unicorns of Love just a ton, so that is massive, not just for CLG in terms of stats, but for keeping Unicorns of Love from getting any extra edges.
Yeah, but look at how annoying it is for the Unicorns now. Your AD carry and mid laner, who are both late game farm monsters, are farming on the same lane right now, because that top lane that was pushing out, like, there's so many ways have been denied here for the Unicorns, and CLG, while they screw up their Baron bait, so to say, they can walk into the top lane right now, pick up that juicy wave, push it out again, and just keep a gold advantage. We're still looking, just Rabadon's death cap just finished on Orianna here, and just the second item on Steelback, so we could actually see Unicorns go force a fight, because they know their 3rd item spike will be so far behind CLG. If this game goes on the way it has gone so far, they might actually opt into just a panic fight.
Well, we'll see if that happens, though. Of course, with Dragon off the field, the only thing to really contest is Baron. And if CLG can keep the wards up, they can make it really awkward for Unicorns of Love. Blue buff respawns, easy pickup for Fox there. Former SK Gaming mid laner now on Unicorns of Love in the off-season, and doing reasonably well, 2-1-1 in a game that's quite close in kills.
CLG is being greedy here, though. Look at the people that are in the Baron pit. If Unicorns were aware of this, they could have straight down pushed mid lane, put some pressure there.
Yeah, could have zoned those CLG members out pretty well, too, with some deeper wards. For now, though, Unicorns of Love just focusing on that mid lane, but that split push down in bottom lane from Darshan is something they really need to be worried about.
It feels so difficult to push, though. It's an inhibitor turret he's going for here. It's really hard as a melee champion to knock that thing down. Smithy, yeah, he's tanky at this point, though. He's got nearly a completed Frozen Heart now, so pretty difficult to get rid of him. He's built entirely armor stack. The only magic damage in the team is really that Orianna, and probably shouldn't be Shockwave and Gragas anyway. And Darshan is not getting a lot of progress. He's actually still 40 CS down behind Vizicachi, which is pretty impressive that with the game going pretty badly for a while, Renekton's managed to keep the farm doing fine.
Yeah, if you were tracking the minimap there just now, we saw the dot from Thresh. That hook was just wide, moved a little bit in instance. Hylissang actually flashed to try and play out Stixxay out of his jump, but Stixxay managed to get out of the jump anyway, so Hylissang splashes down.
Oh boy, Darshan dueling Vizicachi here in bot lane. Vizicachi thought he had an option. Ultimate used, but Darshan has to back away. He just can't fight all those minions and the turret and Renekton at the same time. Oh, or can he?
No,
nope,
he's going to try. No, there we go. Another fight in the mid lane. No, Hill's not getting knocked back into the team yet, and no help either. Easy pickup there. Not much else to do now. Gilius also rooted up. Shockwave does catch Huhi, though. Can they knock him down? Gilius going to try and kicks him back in. Beautiful play, and he lives a 1-for-1. That was amazing.
Yeah, Unicorns of Love really made something out of nothing there with that kill onto Huhi. I'm surprised they got that.
Yeah, that was facilitated by Huido. That was a bit of a greedy flash. Flashing off for Lee Sin with that mobility still online, where they could have just returned for another bait, because the reason that Hylissang kind of got caught there and walked in is just the lack of vision. He walked in and just no flash, and he got punished for it. But then CLG overchasing a little bit of a normal reaction. Still that one ward where Afram was basing right now, just kind of keeping the Unicorns safe.
Now, is that him not being able to sweep it, or is that other teammates not putting pink wards down? I mean, I wonder actually if Stixxay even has his on the map at this time, but watch that fight again. And I just feel like with Hylissang dead this early and CLG still having cooldowns, I'm so surprised you all got anything.
Yeah, they just, if CLG here, though, it's well played, really well played by UOL, don't get me wrong here. I mean, fantastically, that kick to get out here from Gilius, really well played. But if CLG just retreats to the Baron pit, uses the advantage Fiora has over Renekton, you're suddenly playing a 5v3, 4v3 situation with vision control. That should be another pick or bait, but instead they use 2 flashes and suddenly the Unicorns stay in the game.
I guess it was also Stixxay ulting Lee Sin away when he was probably still in range. Oh, wow.
Well, there we go.
Darshan finally on the 4th attempt gets the kill off on Renekton. Last time they were battling, he actually missed his Q and lost the cooldown reset. That was why he had lost some damage in the prior fight before that last team fight. But now winning the 1v1, farm or not, that is a really big deal. You're talking about the matchup turning the game into a 5v3 of sorts, and it's kind of happening now.
Well, the death timers are starting to get a little bit higher now, too. So 1v1s like that, I mean, Vizicachi really can't be losing those. Otherwise, it gives such a big opening for Darshan in the bot lane.
Yeah, and Steelback picks up a Quicksilver Sash in a double threat composition when you're already behind. I don't think you can afford to do that. I think you really have to go all out on damage, because even if you QSS a snare, what you're going to do? You're playing a triple threat that already has a lead on you. Yeah. Split push is punishing you. Right now we see perhaps an engage in the mid lane.
Here we go. Explosive cast used. Hylissang once again caught out, once again killed. That is his 5th death of the game. That could not feel good for Unicorns of Love.
Basically half of CLG's kills right now. And I mean, there's just so many squishy champions in the front line. You have Warrior, Enchant, Lee Sin. You have a Magic Resist stacking Renekton who's facing Fiora in the 1v1 matchup. And Thresh is never going to be a big tank either.
That ward does not spot CLG, but they probably saw them walking in.
Yeah, they know the ward's there. So trying to predict the bait, but right now they have to get anxious though. Start pinging it.
Well, Darshan a little bit cut off from the rest of his team. They're going for the Baron. CLG could have made a mistake here. Unicorns of Love, can they capitalize on it? Baron low. Gilius taking quite a bit of damage from it now.
Gilius
he's still
getting really low. He's still stuck in this pit. Finally finds a teammate to safeguard too, but that means it's going to be hard to get back in. He's got a Q in. He's got a chance for this one. He goes. Blue team gets Baron Nashor. Shockwave means a bit more. Fox and Co pick up a couple, but it's still CLG winning that fight 2-1 with Baron.
Yeah, Darshan wins the grand challenge. That heal onto CLG helps quite a bit too. Unicorns of Love really can't push based on low health on the other team or anything even.
Risky play though, having to go smite against the Rocket, Orianna ulti and smite combo Q from Lee Sin. I don't know if I like that play strategically wise, but CLG pull ahead. They do get the smite. Switch it again. Yeah, Gilius connects Q. So the Rocket goes into. I don't know. Yeah, Proc's just a little early, not in sync. Orianna ulti actually comes late, so if they synced that up beautifully, that could have been Baron, and then the Ori ulti would have put them in range for the Rocket, so that could have gotten ugly.
Could have been a steal. Could have been.
And that fight could have gone a different way as well. Instead of the Jinx posturing to go for a Baron steal with just the ulti, he could have been landing AoE crit rockets
on the team.
Yeah, right, with the shockwave landing right there, that could have been actually another 2,000 cumulative damage dealt by just auto-attacking twice.
It's a tough choice.
Could have been a different fight.
Yeah, it's tough when the Baron is that low health. You know, what do? You try to win the fight and let them get Baron, hope you can kill them afterwards. You do go for the Baron.
Yeah, and it's always context sensitive, right? It's hard. Like, this is why the very, very best players and the very best teams will always win these very clutch games, because they can make those really tight decisions. But Unicorns of Love trying to take control of the map back after all the respawns, after the recalls and the lane pushes. They will get Dragon number 3 uncontested, but Darshan could find steal back. The recalls are all in sync, though. Nothing to pick up here.
Should be fine.
Nice attempt, though.
Could find a kill here onto Visichachi, trying to slice and dice away. That cooldown's all the way. Nice grab on the lantern.
Oh, but they revealed 2 members here. That's going to be a top lane tower down. Darshan could just easily teleport in, so Unicorns...
Darshan's having recalls. Rise TP'd, and there's no one to defend this.
Whoa, Shockwave comes in. Meanwhile, a fight in the bottom jungle. 2 fights on the map right now. Stixay chasing down Fox. Looks like there's a kill actually coming in for Hillisang.
Yeah, they killed off Darshan. Darshan tried to stop the recalls, jumped into a Thresh Hook, and as it turns out, Shockwave into Jinx Rocket, just like we saw at the Baron fight, can pick people off.
A hero minion keeps him alive.
Still not good for Xfinity, though.
He goes right back in. He wants Fox. Can't get it in CLG. Biting off way more than they can chew.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the inhibitor's still alive for Unicorns of Love. They got some kills. That top lane is vulnerable, but it could be worth. Nice dodge by Stixay. He's going to go after Hillisang again now. Flash
flash.
Gets a kill. CLG finding something there. Stixay is looking very good on this Tristana. 4-1-4.
Makes you wonder, though, should you use flash, like right there? Because you're going to the next fight without the flash. Kill is fancy. He's nice. Well played, though, by him.
You always got to bring us down, Crepo. We're trying to enjoy the kill.
Yeah, I'm Captain Buskill over here. But it looks like they're going to use the momentum to maybe get the inhib, but I don't know. It's tricky.
Did you steal that from Monte Cristo too, being the downer at all times?
We'll see. Chilling Smite used. Gilius wanted to be a hero there. Can't quite do it. Darshan comes in. Fox dives deep, gets taken down by the Grand Challenge. Stixay chasing steal back. There's a double kill for Fiora. Now, there goes the inhibitor. Can they maybe even end it right here?
All right, I take it back. Hashtag Worth.
Okay, hashtag Worth. 33 minutes into the game. The Hook's only going to hit a minion here for the 2nd time in a row, and these guys still finding damage to deal. Explosive charge back on. That is a dead turret for certain, and CLG only have 1 turret away from themselves in victory.
Who needs a flash anyway, man? The second Nexus turret getting taken down rather slowly, but they still should have enough time to end it. The last brawl happens 2 versus 5, and that is not the odds that UOL wants. Hillisang, the final member of his team to go down before the Nexus falls, and CLG, the new roster, the NA champions, take game 1.
North America 3-0 in games so far here at IEM San Jose. You just got to get us back on home soil, and we suddenly start playing so well, Crepa. That's why Europe did so well at Worlds. You guys got to play in EU. So now that we're in the superior of continents, the superior of teams are starting to win.
Well, for NA, I guess you could say it's just good there's no week 2 for this tournament, isn't it?
That must be the reason.
Turns out Brussels isn't in Europe either for some reason, because it didn't really show up that well. But yeah,
everyone from Belgium we try to forget exists, I think.
Yep, exactly. Stixay, though, I'm pretty compressed. Comfortable performance. While one may argue how much useful or how the necessity of that flash, he did have the I'm not going to say that word, to go for that play. He did flash aggressively. He was comfortable on that Tristana, made a couple of resets. But CLG, for me, what I like the most is that they were playing as a team.
Yeah.
Like, action in the mid lane, Darshan teleports down, that frees up 2 members, they go down to the bottom, zone somebody off, get a kill, tower falls, then they group in the mid lane, like all these sequence of actions, what we were kind of missing in the TSM game, where it was more just like individually laning performance versus
it was like, here's a little thing I can see, here's a play here, here's a play there, not a cohesive strategy. I definitely agree, and that's what happens with
LG and Unicorns of Love, and I'm sure there's just so much more now to talk about now that we've seen the 2 teams, right? I mean, it's changed everything.
Well, it's one game. All right, let's not. I don't want to jump to conclusions here, Cho, bro.
The sweet sound of silence.
All right. Well, that's
everything is different now.
I understand. We figured it out. This is exactly how they work.
Okay. All right. So we're done. All right. We don't even need to see the other games. We know exactly what CLG and Unicorns
All right, let's
are.
go to
Thank
game
you for
2.
watching. No, I'm just kidding. But okay. So what can we take away from that one game, though? Obviously, CLG taking the win. Was it a rightful win? Did they clearly deserve it a little bit more in your opinions? Or was it just like, well, Unicorns played a little worse?
I thought from all the teams I've seen so far the tournament, CLG's macro play was better than any of the teams I've seen. Of course, I mean, TSM said they've only played for 4 days. LGD, they're still LGD. So I think as far as moving around the map, they looked really good. But I think a lot of it's just Unicorns love it. Look like they have no synergy. Like the jungle and the support don't know how to work together at all. And Vizitachi, he seemed pretty comfortable in that match up top, but I don't really like the items he built. He built Spirit Visage when he's split pushing against Fiora the whole time. I don't know. I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, what about you, Monty? I mean, would you agree that CLG seemed probably the most comfortable in terms of how they managed the whole map?
Yes, that's true, but I also think that Unicorns of Love gave them ample opportunities to do so because there was a lot of very wacky map movement going on with them. And like Saint was saying, the synergy between the support and the jungle, they just weren't even working together at all to ward. So it led to some really easy picks for CLG, and at that point, it was pretty simple for them to split push with the Tristana, get a turret. I do think Zion Spartan played quite well in terms of knowing when to put the pressure on. I thought that was an impressive performance because he wasn't really caught out. He was winning the duels. He was
in team fights for CLG.
Yeah, I think you really have to hand it to Xmithy. His barrel play was very good, like you're saying, and the biggest difference for me was communication. When you saw Xmithy go in, his team followed up. They knew what the plan was when he was engaging. When we saw Hylissang or Gilius go in, sometimes they would just be all alone, and then the rest of their team would be underneath the turret on the next screen. And you can't really have that because it just leads to some easy deaths. So it looked like comms were pretty rocky there for Unicorns of Love.
Now, what about the two players we kind of pointed out the most in terms of this being a testing ground for them, Huhi and Stixay for CLG? Anything to note, or it's just like, well, you followed through fine, you did what you were asked to do, and that's good enough for now?
I think... Go ahead. Okay,
well, I feel like Stixay kind of got spoon-fed a lot of kills. I mean, if you look at the laning phase that they had, they pretty much had the level 3 gank from Gragas, and then I say a minute or two after that, you have the Ryze showing up bot lane, and was the Fiora down there too? But regardless, they had like 4 people tower diving them at 4 minutes into the game. It's like, this seems kind of like an easy lane for Stixay here.
Okay, so not much to really tell from Stixay.
Yeah.
And
Fair enough.
I agree. And similarly in the mid lane, Ryze is so powerful, and so many people were just knocked into his face that it's really hard for me to give Huhi credit here. It was a good game from him, but we saw small fumbles here and there on the Ryze passive, not stacking up at appropriate times, overextending once or twice. In the end, did what he needed to do for the team, but if he's forced onto a different champion in the next game, which I suspect he will be, that will really be the deciding factor. Is he a more comfortable mid laner? Can he be more relevant in the next game?
Or even if he's on Ryze, can he deliver a good Ryze performance without a Gragas barrel just handing him a free prison time and time again? Because for me, it was the standout was really Xmithy and Zion Spartan, or Darshan, whatever he wants to call himself. I can't keep track of these new names, kids. Stay the same.
Zion Darshan. That's actually just his full name now. So it sounds like Stixay knew how to right-click and Huhi knew how to press skills. And
Press
that's
W.
Great. Press W. Okay. So they did what they were asked to do. Now we'll have to see if they can press other buttons on their keyboard and whatnot. I mean, not to take anything away from them, but the point is, they didn't look bad, fine. But they didn't really do anything to really stand out either. The jury's still out, basically.
Yeah, it's still out.
It's one game. And once again, solid performances. You know, we can't call them great players for that, but it was a good game from those respective players.
I mean, you don't want to look too into one game. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, it is a best of 3. We're waiting to find out what's going to happen in game 2. Also, if you want a little bit more in-depth information, don't forget to check out the score. You can get all the stats, all the results, and of course, some news to help cover. So don't forget to download the app from the App Store or Google Play and follow along the entirety of Intel Extreme Master San Jose 2015. We'll be back right after these messages with Game 2 between Unicorns of Love and CLG. Welcome back. We are on the eve of going into Game 2 between Counterlogic Gaming and Unicorns of Love. CLG currently leading 1-0. And as you guys were saying, I mean, overall, it just seemed like CLG at least was playing like a team, whereas Unicorns, we're not so convinced anymore. Yeah. Are we expecting anything of that to change? I mean, because that's like not really something you can change with your picks either, right? It's just how you play.
I think, and as we get into picks and bans here, I think it's really going to come down to execution. It doesn't matter what they pick. If they play like that again with any picks, if they get over-aggressive like that, if they play sloppily like that again, CLG will just win because they've shown us that they are the superior team, at least in this matchup in terms of macro sense.
I want to see a Gragas ban here third, too. I like the Ryze ban. I really want to see a Gragas ban because, I mean, that's pretty much Smithy's champion. I feel like it just sets up too much for CLG when he plays it.
I mean, when you guys were talking about it earlier, you would argue that Gragas is probably the higher priority ban if you're going to ban one or the other, right? Between Ryze and Gragas. I mean, Gragas, of course, affecting the whole team. It is Xmithie's champion, etc. Whereas Ryze, you guys are saying part of it, he was getting all that fed to him.
Elise.
But it looks like they're going to go with the Elise.
I'm actually really surprised because CLG, if they had banned Gragas, CLG probably would have just banned Kindred, and then you can either take the Rek'Sai or the GP first, but Gangplank is going to get through.
Okay.
So historically in the Kespa Cup, when Gangplank is available on blue side, we saw him almost 100% picked. Didn't see it here today as much at IEM, but Gangplank is one of the best late game scaling champions you can get, but he really suffers in the early to mid game. Just doesn't have the Triforce, has a very expensive build pass. You need the Infinity Edge, you need the Yomus, you need the Triforce. Once he gets there, it's absolutely insane what he can do with a single barrel, but getting there is the issue, and we didn't see Unicorns of Love really in a position to take that the game late enough to justify a champion like Gangplank.
Well, Gangplank also kind of puts off a lot of the early game aggression. Once you're at level 6, if you try to do a tower dive or try to do any really aggressive plays, that ultimate can do 600 to 700 AoE damage if you get some bad RNG, and I think they just have to be really careful about that. I think that's going to slow down the pace of the game a lot.
All right, and you know, the picks, Gragas not surprising at all, as you guys mentioned, Xmithie's comfort. For the GP, so we're assuming, of course, most likely mid going here for Fox on Unicorns of Love. Or do you think, well, you never know, neither mid or top has been picked yet? Well,
they just answered that.
Never mind. I was going to try to go off on that a little bit, but Unicorns of Love bringing us the answers here with that Kassadin pick.
Yeah, it's really weird to see them just show that pick and then just be like, hey, these are our lanes. You know, we're both melee. We're pretty vulnerable early. We're both weak scaling. And they're hiding their 80, I mean, not weak scaling, but they're just weak overall, like first 6 levels. They just get run over by everybody. And then they didn't show their ADC or their jungle. Like, why would you want to hide your jungle here? I don't get it.
Interesting because it's just an exact shift of what we saw in the previous game. It's like, okay, last game was all about early game. This time it's going to be all about late game. That was the problem. We got it.
At the same time, aren't both of them, like you said, I mean, they pretty much get caught by anyone. On top of that, sure, with Gangplank, you can get out of something, but with the Gragas, and then you have anyone who has hard CC in the lane. Like, isn't both top and mid pretty much done here for Unicorns early on?
I would be very concerned if I was Unicorns of Love. Taking that jungle, like a jungle AD carry right there, is probably the best thing they could have done, unless they have something very surprising. There's a Riven.
I love the Riven matchup here. Riven absolutely destroys Gangplank. It's disgusting how bad he runs him over. And then on top of that, it's not like you can lane swap. Like, haha, we got Gangplank, make Kassadin top, because that's a terrible matchup too. So unless they have like,
so they will go with the Orianna mid and the Kassadin jungle.
Yeah, or we get the chaos style. It's coming
back.
All right, whatever.
Why do we even talk about Unicorns pick ban if stuff's just going to go into weird lanes? We should just like wait until the whole team is locked in.
Hey, some teams you just got to do that, but they, go with the Lee Sin for Gillis. Might as well give him something that he can try to shine in later on in the game when everyone is fed, if the game goes that far. I mean, especially with Tristana now too. I mean, Unicorns really, they're just hanging on for dear life to say, hey, we can win later.
If it ever gets pick Tristana and Lee Sin. Look, I just don't get it. If you're going to pick them earlier and don't make CLG show you a solo lane, blind picking the Kassadin, and we'll see what answer CLG actually has for it.
And there were so many picks still left on the board. They're not really denying that much from the mid lane. Lysandre's still a very viable pick, regardless of lane matchups, very useful in the current meta. Twisted Fate, not something we've seen so much, but definitely can offer a lot of map mobility potentially to match up the Gangplank and that cannon barrage there. I mean, as we see Hoverovers here, it's very aware, they're clearly, CLG is very aware of how much they need to win in the early game to punish this composition, because they're picking 2 very snowbally champions here for their solo lanes.
So the LeBlanc Kassadin matchup is actually really bad for Kassadin 1 through 6, but once you start getting levels, and especially in team fights, you can assassinate LeBlanc before she can get on you. And on top of that, you have your Q as well, so she can't actually duel you or trade you in the mid and late game. So I don't think it's like a very good counter pick for them, but I mean, I think the Riven's just going to do all the work in this game.
That seems to be the bigger concern. I mean, sure, and even then, even for Kassadin, until that level 6, we'll see how much damage they do in that mid lane. But if the top just gets absolutely destroyed and Riven starts stomping on everyone, I mean, that's your classic solo Q terror.
I think you have to look for a lane swap here if you're Unicorns of Love. Just try and have faith that you can trade the turrets with the Tristana against the Jinx early on and see if Gangplank can pick up the scraps long enough in order to make it into that late game where he does become that real terror. But they should play very defensively in as much as they can. But again, they have very low wave clear, so it's going to be tough for them to hold on to their outer turrets if they end up in standard lanes.
Which is why it's interesting that they picked up the Kassadin here in the mid lane after taking the Gangplank. I feel like Gangplank going mid offers so much wave clear, lets you stall out the game very well, and Kassadin is just the opposite. I mean, obviously, Force Pulse, as we saw in LGD TSM earlier on today, just not a reliable way to clear out waves.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, what could be the last game of the day? This is Game 2 between CLG and Unicorns of Love. If you've missed any of the games so far, or if you know that you might have to step away from your computer for a little bit during this game, don't forget to check out Plays.tv for a bunch of highlights. And we do have some other extra VODs from the point of view of the players and other content on there. So go check that out. But for now, time to find out if CLG is going to close it out 2-0 or if Unicorns is going to bring it to Game 3 over on the commentary desk with Doa, Crepo, and Freak.
Thank you, Chobra, and welcome everyone to Game 2 between CLG and Unicorns of Love here at IEM San Jose. Some interesting stuff in the picks and bans here as we move on to Summoner's Rift. What do you guys think?
I kind of agree with what all the sort of experts were saying. Is like, hey, you've got a pretty low wave for your team, except for Gangplank, who's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in that, like, he needs to get to late game, and then his ult can stop any push ever on the other side of the map, so he's good at getting himself to late game. And you can, like, do barrel tricks to clear waves as well, but, like, it's only GP that can do that reliably. Like, he's the one guy that can make this work, and so I think it's just, like, a ton of weight on Vizicachi's shoulders.
Yeah, I just think UOL, they lost the draft on their own. Like, they didn't even, like, get out-picked by CLG. Just going for that Gangplank Cassidy combination early, just like Montecristo said, hiding Tristana Thresh later on, like, just there's no really point, or Tristana Lee Sin rather later on, no point doing that. The only thing I don't like on CLG's composition is the LeBlanc pick into the Cassidy, because I think that's a matchup that Cassidy does fairly well in.
Well, here we go. Welcome to Summoner's Rift, Unicorns of Love versus CLG. Unicorns of Love trying to tie things up. They are down a game right now. This is only a best of 3. If CLG takes this game, they win the series and move on to day 2. Doesn't get much more serious than this.
Just like the analyst desk was expecting, we're poised for a lane swap.
It's going to be the standard
too, but then.
Yeah, and looks like standard double jungling as well. This is actually correct as well by the Gangplank. Even though, like, you feel like you'd want to start parlay and, like, kill some little things to get some money, it's actually correct. I want to see if he attacks the monster first or if he attacks the barrel first to refresh the thing. So yeah, he's going to attack the monster, hit the barrel, immediately barrel again, and then about 3 auto attacks later, he can blow it up again, get more fire, and that's kind of the best way you can clear these waves.
Wow. Jungle training with Freak.
Yeah, I've played a lot of, like, double jungle GP. And then he should have one, like, cast max range. Actually, he should have one already pre-prepared, which he does. Good. I saw the ring. Oh. And he blows it up at the very start and clears the Raptors really fast.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, red buff start for
like
both teams
600
here.
bonus damage total off the E.
Darshan's like, we're finishing up this red buff. Oh, there's people in my lane. Never mind, I'm not going there anymore.
Yeah. So an extended jungle pathing, it looks like. Hylissang, gonna phase check in. This is not what he wants. He plays backwards, but he's just gonna die. Hylissang, why ever do that?
And he got caught so many times in game number 1, now in game number 2, getting caught right away and giving Darshan that first blood on Riven is the last thing that Unicorns of Love needs.
Yeah, more importantly, he can just walk into the lane right now because Tristana can't freeze, there's no wave manipulation. Because there's a threat of the Thresh is gone. Yes, Chachi goes to the bottom lane and mirrors that, but Riven Snowball, the one champion you don't want to snowball in this match already with first blood.
It's going to be pretty tough for Unicorns of Love early on. I mean, it's on Darshan now to kind of keep that momentum going, right?
Sure, I think he can do a lot with this, though. It depends on when Thresh gets back in, if they can stop that from happening. I mean, Riven is very, very melee, so, and dealing with Thresh as a melee champion can be quite difficult, so he might get the 8 CS to never get any more, whereas Gangplank can actually withstand Jinx, reasonably well.
Yeah. See jungler head up top here. Aframu still level 1, I believe. Warding in the jungle, just facilitating that top lane for Darshan. Just wants to avoid the dive or at least see it coming. Then that mid lane matchup, LeBlanc to Cassidy, it's all about using Cassidy and Q on the LeBlanc at all times. Never ever do you want to use it on the minion because down the line it'll cost you more. And then when LeBlanc dashes in, you want to proc your W. That does a lot of damage, and that's kind of the way you want to keep these trades even and just get even in CS, and eventually you outscale.
Makes sense. Well, we know that Darshan's going to need to be also very careful on this Riven too. We already saw Gilius up towards that top part of the map. They really want to take him out early, break that momentum.
But CLG Afro up there, of course, he roamed all the way up, so better 2v2 lane, though it's still not a good 2-on-2 lane. Like, compared to Gangplank versus Jinx, which is actually completely fine for Gangplank. You can see 18 CS, he's practically got more than the enemy mid laner, just chilling in a what you'd expect to normally be a crap lane for Vizicachi. But Darshan's getting denied, despite getting first blood, then TPing in, getting double longsword. Maybe that helps it a little bit, but the holding pattern right now, actually, I think is not in the favor of CLG.
Stixxay on his own down in bot lane against Vizicachi should be able to farm fairly safely. He's got some wards to keep him aware of any ganks that might be coming in as well. Like Smithy lurking around the jungle of Unicorns of Love right now, but I don't think he's really going to get an opportunity to find anyone.
He's expecting Gilius to go back to the bottom side of the jungle now. He's expecting the pathing and not really finding it, and then looking for a gank onto Fox, but I don't know if mid lane's actually pushing out right now, so I'm not sure if he's ever going to find that kind of play. Ooh, a great hook, though. Does land Aframu. A good flay as well. Means a couple hundred damage.
Yeah, a little bit of damage onto Aframu. He's got that sustain, of course, on the Alistar, but it does hurt CLG a little bit. They'll continue to be pushed under turret, and you can see already the health of that top lane turret getting taken out little by little.
Yeah, Steelback respecting the Q flash from Afra, though. That's what he's afraid of. Q flash into ribbon damage into the tower, and then you kind of have to jump out there trying to escape. So he can't really hit that tower too much.
There's enough displacement tools between the third Riven Q as well as Alistar's Q and W that like you can't rely on a lantern or rocket jump. This one he does get away with.
He does.
Look, again the Afra. This is not good for the Alistar. But Hillsong cannot find the damage with Ignite. Steelback again taking the bad end of a trade. But Gilius is in up towards this one. Stixxay will block the Q and Gilius will not chase through.
A flash is used on both sides. No deaths in the top or bottom lane from that conflict. And CLG, they kind of look like they're just trying to hold on at this point. Unicorns of Love going for a very not going for the early Dragon. Gilius.
No, he's sneaking through with the Q. Yeah,
I see. Sneaky Lee Sin,
who he's still trying to harass down. Of course, Flask pulls Ruby Crystal on Fox. Not getting pushed out of lane too terribly fast, though. Is still down in CS, but has Summoner Teleport to use if he needs to get back to lane in a pinch or into a gank on the side of the map. Steelback missing about 4 CS under the turret, sadly, and it's an 8 CS difference between the two 80 carries.
Not too much to worry about now. And speaking of CS, up in top lane, Darshan pretty equal to Vizicachi at the moment, not too far behind.
Fighting the bottom lane though right now. Stixxay running away from Vizicachi. It takes the bad end of a trade. And I was talking about this matchup not being very good for the Jinx, and as soon as 6 hits, Vizicachi says, you can't escape from my ultimate, cuts off the retreat, and does a really good job winning that one-on-one.
Yeah, Stixxay still sitting on Flash. He just wanted again that BF money. He was so close. On 0 kills and assists, it is again 55 CS, and he was just looking to push in that last wave. See what happens.
Oh, he's actually nice, yeah. Auto into Q, so good setup on his own barrel there, and then says, you know what? My summoners are back or my cooldowns are back. This will be easy.
That it was not like a massive. That was just predictable in the sense that Vizicachi would go for that play. So Stixxay not playing with the necessary respect and just really wanting that BF sword and that wave into the tower.
Never used his flash either. Do you think he maybe could have snuck?
I think he didn't think he was going to lose. He's like, I have a minion wave and I have flame chompers. I think he thought he would win the fight.
Seemed that way.
His last competitive match was months ago in the challenger scene. Like, how often do you 1v1 a Gangplank as Jinx? Almost never, right? So I think it's unfamiliarity.
Could be. And now with that, Vizicachi takes a nice big lead over Darshan.
And that was one of the main worries from the analyst desk. Is this Gangplank going to hit the late game? Are the Unicorns going to reach it? And right now, comfortably set so. Sheen and Avarice right there, but Darshan can still all-in him because there's no really defensive stats on this Gangplank.
Wow. Impeccable timing there. There was no window. I mean, that was practically frame perfect. This guy should play fighting games. Parry everything.
No, we want to watch him play.
No, I know. I'm happy. But that was actually quite impressive.
Yeah. Looks like CLG is still going to get the first turret of the game, though. At some point in the future. I didn't mean right now, of course.
He probably could have greeted for it without being in that much threat, but...
I thought so, too. That's what I thought we were...
Because you get excited and get away, and it's like no big deal.
This is actually the breaking point of this matchup. Once Cassidy picks up Catalyst, it becomes incredibly for LeBlanc to continuously out-sustain because all of your moves are pretty telegraphed. You have enough time in Distortion to launch Cassidy Q. If not, any follow-up damages, Sigil or Chains, they get magic shielded by the Cassidy Q proccing. You have the W, Cassidy can chase after if LeBlanc makes a mistake, and the additional sustain from Catalyst makes it so that it's almost impossible for LeBlanc to get solo kills. Something she kind of thrives at, right? That's why you pick LeBlanc usually.
Yeah. And maybe late game she can go for some pick plays, but there's no black shield to go for like the really aggressive like Distortion QRs, so and might lose some of the impact of this champion in this game. Fox still trying to farm up. Down 11 CS is not where he really wants to be, but we'll suffer through that for now and keep trying to scale up on this Kassadin.
Oh, that.
Can't actually ult anymore. He actually spent too much mana. He's 4 stacks on Riftwalk.
Yeah, that's a dangerous thing with Huhi coming in with full health, full mana, but Fox able to walk off for the moment. Now some action up in top lane, Stixay and Aframu.
2v3, Summoner TP just used by Vizichachi to come down towards a ward nearby. Hook onto Stixay. Here comes the kickback as well. They got all the damage they needed. Hillsong is low, but no one's around to stop him. Vizichachi may be a bit late to the party as Smithy is here, ults him back in. Darshan, flash, three-man stun, and a big knockup as well.
Darshan, the hero right there, setting it up for Huhi to pick up that kill in mid. Or with the mid laner in the top lane. Anyway, CLG not done yet. Gilly is in trouble. Can they catch him? They certainly can.
Wow.
Xmithy with a kill. That's going to be a turret for CLG on top of everything. Nice lead now.
No, he lives.
Ooh.
That looked really interesting at the start, but Aframu did a good thing. He flashed over the hook, outplayed the Thresh with a Q flash. Unluckily for him, CLG was Stixay was standing right behind him. He got hooked, so they kind of all in him, but like TP and a really good flash stun there from Riven.
Let's watch that again.
Yeah, that ulti was kind of.
He wants to push him forward, right?
As well, and look at that hook. You know, Aframu flashes over it, but now all the attention goes to Stixay. And at this point, Unicorns kind of win, but they all funnel into the same area trying to save Vizichachi here, and that's their mistake. They should have just left him hanging, like going for the help here when Riven has flash. Look at this.
Beautiful. Beautiful stun and a team fight win for CLG as Huhi comes in unopposed on that LeBlanc.
I think even Fox got ulti. That was a 4-man ulti from Lashon right there.
It's pretty amazing. Huhi with some pressure in the mid lane now. So Unicorns of Love, I feel like the later this goes, they'll be doing okay. Oh, never mind, some action down the bot lane. Steelbank onto that Flame Chompers.
Yeah,
Chompers 6-8 backing off.
Yeah, Gillies is there.
Yeah, nice trap on the Gillies to keep him away. Here comes Huhi. Huhi and Xmithy coming down. They may want to dive this.
Spotted by a ward though, so this dive's not going to happen much. It's like, yeah, it's going to be nothing. He doesn't even get off the diving board there. So no points, nothing gained. Maybe they can try again later, but the 3 people still defending.
They have zone on the dive though. Top lane, you see a skirmish.
Darshan tries to find Vizichachi. Gets that barrel before it goes off. Vizichachi could be in trouble. He doesn't have ult quite yet. Can't get away. There's a kill for Darshan, and CLG, meanwhile, takes another turret in the bot lane. That's 2-0 for them.
Yeah, so top lane gets solo killed, bot lane turret goes down. All Fox did was sit there, pushing down mid lane. He's got teleport, by the way. He could have shown up and maybe punished the top lane fight, maybe roam down to the bot lane and turn that something around.
Definitely good. Cassidy is not a champion and has the quickest wave clear in the mid lane. Has to ulti, all attack, it creeps a couple of times. Your E is still on very low ranks right here, so you don't have the AoE wave clear to punish that tower. As a Cassidy, you should roam, you should match, you should help your other laners, because even if you get half the damage on a tower, you just fall so far behind. And I agree with Doa right when he said, yeah, late game Unicorns have it, but right now they're crumbling. The lack of wave clear is punishing them, and CLG 2 towers and a dragon ahead now.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Well, the Beatles might have been wrong when they said all you need is love, because right now Love's not helping him very much. CLG up 1-0, and maybe looking to close out the second one. Up 3,000 gold. There's the Gangplank ulti. There's the ability to stall just a little bit. But next wave's going to be hitting up pretty soon.
Well, chances of Unicorns of Love's victory may be about the same chances of seeing a unicorn in real life. At this point, unless they turn things around in a hurry, as that mid lane turret goes downhill, saying throws out the hook, can't quite land it onto Huhi. And CLG with all outer turrets taken down now.
And this is something we saw last game as well. Unicorns, they kind of forced themselves to play a smaller map. Very early, do you see their main carries group up sharing farm, and it's just a path into ruin. When you see CLG actually kept the map open, they kept it wide. Nice vision in between. Yes, they maybe screwed up a couple of times overreaching, but their macro play keeps in mind that you have to get as much experience and farm on all 3 lanes at the same time to just get ahead of your opponent. And Unicorns, because they don't have the best vision control, they're defaulting to this very small map. But then when they're grouped, they have issues forcing a play.
Yeah. And now Vizichachi needs to be so careful whenever he's in a 1v1 situation against this Riven. I mean, 3-0-2, lots of damage coming out of Darshan right now.
Yeah, the matchup only gets worse. He's really never going to get to the point where he ever one-shots the Riven ever again, but Darshan's getting more and more cooldown reduction. He's at 20% just from items right now, meaning it's probably going to be just finish the Black Cleaver for max CDR. He's sitting, I'm just going to check real quick to be sure, but yeah, he's sitting on 35 CDR with his current itemization, so that'll be an easy spike to hit.
Makes sense. Meanwhile, the mid lane battle has been taken down to the bot lane as Huhi and Fox contest over this bottom tier 2 turret.
That's risky.
A little bit.
I always hold my breath when I'm a support and I see my AD carry path behind me into that corridor. Luckily, no punish there.
Yep. Meanwhile, CLG makes a move on this tier 2 turret down in bot lane. Fox zoned out. Here comes Gilius. Where's the Gangplank ultimate? It's not available quite yet, and that's going to allow CLG to do a lot of damage. Fox and Gilius trying to find a way to push CLG off. They do for now. But how long can they keep that turret alive?
Maybe one more time, because CLG is always there first. They get half the turret. Sometimes they manage to secure the dive. Sometimes UOL shows up to defend after losing half the health here, but there's never anything else picked up in return. UOL is still pushing down the mid lane outer right now with their AD carry and support.
UOL went mid looking to trade. CLG's wave is not there, so they kind of just moving to the jungle into Fog of War, forcing UOL backwards before returning back to the bot lane. Many teams right there would have just traded tier 2 for tier 1, but what CLG do right there is play with vision to make a pick.
Wow.
Gilius.
That was a ridiculous amount of damage right there. Beautiful bait by CLG. They own the jungle so well. They own vision and darkness.
Yeah, just the use of Fog of War there was really, really well played by CLG. They knew exactly where there were wars and where they weren't, and they used that to their advantage. Many teams would have lost their tier 1 tower there and not made that pick in return with the pressure.
This new CLG roster is looking very, very tight. I mean, for a group that has not played together too much, they're looking so coordinated, and you have to credit it to players like Aframuix, Smith, you know, being able to keep everyone together, and it's working.
The shot calling still on point, and everyone else is following directions very well. This is CLG playing the same style that CLG did back at Worlds even. Now, back at Worlds, they had teams like KOO Tigers able to figure them out, and I mean, they're better players than UOL, obviously, so you know, when you're kind of unopposed in your lanes in a lot of cases, this is what CLG looks like.
Yeah, this was more the CLG of NALCS, and at the same time, while Unicorns of Love replaced 3 members, it's still the Unicorns of Love from EULCS. Lacking in shot calling, picking lane matchups, not really have cohesive drafts, screwing up their draft, honestly, picking champions early that they shouldn't, hiding trivial picks to later, and then playing the game the way they're doing it. No synergy between jungle and support.
Yeah, that pick ban was really odd. We're going to be perplexed about that one for a while. An attempted dive onto Darshan. They're going to get him in there against the wall. And that could be a kill. It will be for Unicorns of Love. No, yes, it will. There we go. Bomb goes off. Force steal back. He's going to get that one Tristana. Meanwhile, Hillsang could be in a bit of trouble. Aframu, there's the knockup. Where's the rest of CLG? 6A coming in from the side. And can Aframu keep this turret alive? I don't know, man. Don't think so. Vizichachi gets that one. Now Stixay and Aframu on the run. Hook not connecting with the AD carry. But there goes the cow. A kill for Unicorns of Love. Steelback picks up another one.
Yeah, and as we're playing CLG for Immaculate Macro game, we see them defend the tier 1 tower where they shouldn't. And Hui went like back to the top lane, now roaming back to the bot lane.
Caster Jinx, man, and now Unicorns of Love have brought this right back again. Well,
Smithy.
Oh, wow, they just knock in steel back. Can they land it? No, yes, holy cow, the ulti gets him. Hui ignited, able to walk away pretty clean. Stixay wants in, so does Zion, and look at these kills coming through. Everyone's dropping left, right, and center. Gilius, the last man alive, finds the Q, finds the kill, can't find much more. Wind Slash says thank you very much. That's the ace for CLG.
It was not the cleanest ace ever, but it was an ace, and CLG has brought things right back again. You know, now the question is, what can they get out of this? They need to get some more deep wards in. They need to maybe, what do you think? Do you think they can get tier 2 in mid?
The best they can do is pretty much reset this one. A lot of guys lost health. They're missing their AD carry. They can maintain the map, and they've got to recall back and get their items in.
Yeah, this right here, double body slam flash into triple cast that hits and displaces them into a perfect triangle. That's like the ideal scenario as Gragas. You want to isolate a priority target. Hui goes in, he has to distortion back, but look at Darshan coming in from the backside. He teleported in, forces 3 flashes with that play too. So not only does CLG get the ace, they pretty much take all summoners off the board for the Unicorns. Yeah, Stixay is a little greedy here, but I think that's fine. CLG right now 5,000 gold in the lead.
You know, he actually mad lifed with body slam as well. He predicted the jump over and actually hit him mid safeguard.
It's like CLG should be able to pick up their second dragon of the game at this point as well, out of this fight we just saw. And so things going all CLG's way at the moment.
Yeah, just look at the summoners left of your screen, all down across the board.
Ui gets a stun onto Fox. Aframu looking for something. Gilius there in the jungle to support Unicorns of Love, though, so CLG not going to pull the trigger on that one. Need to be a little bit more careful as they back away, back towards that Baron pit, and it's only about 35 seconds till Baron comes back up again. And CLG needs to be ready, and they need to have enough health to do something about it if Unicorns of Love tries something.
Yeah, panning Barons is usually the only way to get back into the game. So you definitely, with the likes of Gangplank, who could do it pretty quickly, Stishana has some decent damage on Baron. But CLG's wards right now, they have that sneaky pink ward in the top left. They have a couple of wards around. Darshan's also constantly pushing bottom. So if Gangplank doesn't show up to defend that bottom lane, it's very indicative of what the Unicorns are planning. And I think CLG will be ready for that play.
Certainly seems that way. Unicorns of Love still fighting for that mid lane tier 1. 20 minutes in, they've only managed to secure 1 turret.
Yeah, not a pretty game for these guys. Backs against the wall. Losing this game means they are out of the tournament. Unicorns of Love were a finalist at this thing last year. So far, not looking amazing for these guys. CLG about to make it 2 North American teams in the top 4. If they win, they battle the Jin Air Green Wings.
And the CLG TSM.
CLG TSM final.
Is still alive.
Oh, I mean.
The hope.
Yeah.
Of NA.
North American final was really the IM San Jose final precursor, so get ready for that one.
Very different TSMs and CLGs this time around, though, from the NALCS Summer Finals.
Well, I mean, still like 9 people from the combined rosters were there, right? Like, well, okay, that's a little bit excessive, but he was like the technical sub. Double was in the game anyway.
The shuffling has been intense. Smithy in a little bit of trouble. I might call that intense as well. Manages to dodge that hook as CLG backs up again. They've got control over the Baron pit right now, and they're going to grab that blue buff for Huhi as well.
Yeah, we're likely not going to see any extensive plays here by CLG. It's a little early, 20 minutes on the board to really force that Baron play, but they're just going to keep doing what they've been doing. They're going to force mistakes from the Unicorns and then punish them. The same way last game we saw people just overextending, trying to make the play on CLG, and then Smithy turning that around with a body slam flash into Cask. Because Darshan has complete control of the bot side of the map here. He has 3 wards keeping him safe. Split push is going fine. CLG, the one mistake they could do here is just rush the play.
Yeah.
Now Vizicachi is still scaling up. In the prior team fight, he had just hit Trinity Force. Now he's on the way towards Infinity Edge. Oh, yeah.
Got to be careful there.
If you play it right, you could do a lot of damage on this champion. But Darshan wants to go in, finds a bit of stun on Fox, but a great whip block keeps him safe. And Darshan does overextend, finds a bit of burst, but not enough to kill someone. Turret does go down. CLG running away, but slowed.
Well, gives his life for that mid lane turret. Gangplank ultimate, though, keeps CLG close by. Unicorns of Love still rasping the way out. Afromoon, a lot of trouble. Gets flayed, gets hooked, gets in trouble. Double knockup, gets in. Wow. And CLG turn it around. What a play by Afromoon. That is the type of coordination that are going to send these guys to day 2. A double kill for Huhi.
Yeah, you could tell they were ready for that play. As after tournament with Flash Cube, both Huhi and Stix, they were already looking for the follow-up. So that means there was communication in the fact that Afro said, well, I'm about to turn. So really good communication there from CLG. Again, waiting for the overreach. They kind of forced the play initially, but then Unicorns, their hand got a little stuck in the cookie jar.
Well, that cookie jar is going to cost him a mid inhibitor. It looks like it's getting very low. Afromoon, low health, goes in anyway. Smithy dodges, doesn't connect with that body slam. Gets the slow, which should let CLG get out. Sans their support, but hey, for an inhibitor, I take it.
Yeah, that's how the cookie crumbles right here. And wow, what a great hook onto Smithy. Hylissang honestly doing so much work for this team. 7 out of 8 kills he's assisted in so far, but it's a big uphill battle for UOL.
I feel so bad for Hylissang. He went for the flash hook play, predicting the distortion back. Usually, as we see Huhi flash over the wall here and Steelback chasing Stixay.
Gotta be careful here, Huhi.
Fox has a lot of ulti still left, though. Playing mana pool.
And going back to that play, usually people panic distortion back, and Huhi was just kind of too slow. So that was the equivalent of, damn, dude, my team is too bronze for my epic predictions.
Weren't you ready for me to go in? He furiously types in all caps. Not that I've ever done that.
Never.
No, not me.
I usually play 80 carries. I'm like, why didn't you guys engage with me? Like, why were you in first as the marksman? I'd be like, because I'm bad.
Need protection.
Yeah.
See, that's when I'm like, repot 80 carry 9x.
Aww. I just got called a scumbag Yankee while I was flagging Korea.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
They called me that. I was like, I don't think you know what that means. I'm European. Anyways.
You are wearing roughly red, white, and blue right now, Crepo, though. So
cheering for NA, I'm sure, deep down.
Deep down, there's a Yankee inside.
I can feel it. Well, CLG taking a little bit of control over the map now. Some nice counter warding, though, from Unicorns of Love. They've at least gotten a bit of vision control back over their side of the map. Darshan a little bit less safe pushing forward here. He doesn't really have any ward protection. That's why we see him, pulling off here.
Yeah, this play earlier, he had the protection for the wards. It was kind of surprising that CLG went so so ham on that tier 2 tower. They didn't really need to. They could have just kept clearing, kept the pressure from Darshan, wait for somebody of their team to clear in a top wave. They kind of rush to play, and then you lose the momentum, you lose the vision control. They're still significantly in the lead, and any mistake here from Unicorns will get punished.
Speaking of getting punished, Darshan grabbed, thrown into the box right there. A lot of damage coming in from Dizzy Chachi as well. Darshan looking for something. Teleport coming in. That's not going to be a place you want to go to.
Lag?
I think that may have been supposed to be a flash.
Yeah, I mean, his flash is still up.
Yeah, wrong summoner.
It's F for flash, not D for flash. We saw it right here.
Yeah.
And here comes the play. Great body slam flash. He's going to land that one properly. He knows how it's done.
The revenge of CLG, a rocket from Stixay, and they get 2 kills. What else can they get here?
Yeah, CLG get vision denial around the Baron area, forces the Unicorns of Love to kind of like ponder around that brush there. And as Julius is going in, Stixay kind of, Steel back router kind of oversteps. You know, you have to respect body slam flash as an AD carry.
True. Tier 2 down in bot lane, taken down in favor of Unicorns of Love. CLG going for this Baron, though. Huhi guarding on the side. I don't think that Unicorns of Love knows this is going on. No, they do. Teleport coming in. Can they stop it, though? Hillsang a little bit caught. Huhi backing away. This could give CLG the time they need. Baron is down. CLG takes it. And they should be able to get away fairly safely.
All right, Baron for nothing. Well done by Counterlogic Gaming. Good call and good sort of defense by Huhi to keep the team away.
Yeah, as CLG is going in, your Steelback should not move forward. Like, your jungler is about to check. It's Lee Sin. You can sacrifice him to an extent. He can ward, maybe has flash, but...
Yeah, he walked up the blue trinket, the Baron pit, instead of like the brush he's about to face check into, so he wasn't even thinking about his surroundings.
Yeah.
That's what happens to you.
Well, Stixay performing yet again in game 2, 4-3 and 6 on this Jinx. A couple little awkward moments, but overall a very good opening performance in his first match here at IEM for CLG, and they're going to go ahead and take their 3rd dragon. Still 0 dragons for Unicorns of Love.
And I think what we can take away from the series is just that CLG's communication is on point. Even if you disagree with the certain plays they made, they were still making them as a team.
Yeah. Everyone still seems to be on the same page. That really seems true.
Whether the book is written well or not, it's definitely they're all on the same page here. So, bottom lane now the target. Of course, 6 turrets are down right now. Top lane has a couple more, but Smithy hooked around, gets ignited, but he's still fairly tanky. Finally does go down. Aphromoo pretty damaged in the front line now as well. That's actually a big overextension. That time they were on the same page of the wrong book.
Yeah, and this was CLG trying to catch out Vizichachi. They saw him move into the brush, so they tried to punish him. What they forgot was that Darshan was in the top lane with no teleport. Even though he died in the bot lane, maybe he didn't report to his team that he actually accidentally teleported on a minion, but 45 forced by CLG.
Well, I mean, at least Darshan gets the top lane tier 2. You know, he's able to put a little bit of pressure on the inhibitor turret. So it's not like they didn't get anything out of it, but certainly one of the messier moments for CLG here in game 2.
All right, a lot of times still to go then for these guys as they lose a lot of the benefit of their Baron buff. They finally knocked down top tier 2 though. That's a bit more. Now Stixay again doing his best double up impression. Overextended, has nowhere to go.
No kidding, man.
He will flash and Huhi's here.
Yeah, but not quite soon enough, and he may get taken out as well too. Goes into the Dragon Pit.
They know which one's real.
Chasing. He's going to chase the right one. Huhi taken. Taken down finally. There we go.
All right, so a 2 for 1, but it still means that Darshan has time up in this top lane. So CLG kind of doing the opposite of what they used to do. Hotshot would overextend. He'd get picked off. The team would kill turrets. Now it's Darshan having his team overextend. He gets turrets.
Yeah, Stixay certainly looking like he's taking a page out of Doublelift's playbook there.
Yeah.
But it does get them another turret and an inhibitor turret, now 2 vulnerable in favor of CLG. Slowly but surely just grinding away at Unicorns of Love. But we talked about it before. We're only 30 minutes into the game right now, but as it goes longer, Unicorns of Love gets scarier and scarier, and here's a great example.
Gangplank with the Avarice Blade, practically first item there. That's stacking up 3 item, and it's the greedy high damage 3 item build for the AD carry as well. So Steelback does ridiculous amounts of damage with this one. The Last Whisper 3rd here. So there is a lot of threat absolutely for Unicorns of Love. CLG can't screw this up.
Yeah, and in an explosive fight, Unicorns can actually kill the key members of CLG.
Oh, definitely.
They're all squishy, realistically here.
And you've got to be at least a little bit worried if you're on CLG right now that the last 5 minutes or so of the game have certainly not been going like you would have wished.
And even with the Baron, the gold lead is still that same 3,000 gold. Like, even though I feel like, to me, it's looked like CLG has like done more, the scoreboard does not really reflect that, other than the fact that the Dragons have ticked up slightly since the last time we checked. But mid inhibitors back up. Unicorns of Love can get wards back up.
And the difference is Hylissang is actually comfortable in this game, 0, 2, and 10, and he can actually pick himself up some defensive items. So when he does go for these plays where he tries to trade himself, he can do so in a more efficient fashion. Last game, he just got immediately bopped every single team fight. And right now, he can actually survive quite a while with the Locket and force people to really focus him, and then at a cost.
Yeah, well, Hylissang got caught over and over and over again in game 1. Got caught at the beginning of this game, too. Since then, has seemed to have cleaned up things quite a bit.
Yeah, or his team finally started playing around him, because many of the plays that he went for were, in theory, acceptable. Maybe not some of the work plays.
That's a lot of damage on the Fox there.
Fox having a flash away from that one. Still only level 14, doesn't have the low enough cooldown ulti to get away before the chain would have triggered. And that's just not a good thing to have happen. Losing your flash on a simple trade of, just for some minions. Stix has to be a bit careful. The barrel comes over. Oh, it doesn't connect in time. I think it was out of range for that one.
Like Smithy still takes quite a bit of damage. He's going to bring the bomb to his team. Meanwhile, Darshan gets the top inhibitor, and he's moving towards the Nexus. CLG chooses that moment to turn. They're going to take down Gilius, and CLG is going to get themselves probably 2 inhibitors out of this.
Yeah, Darshan's still going. Yoma's Ghostblade already activated for the attack speed, so really getting a lot of progress here.
Oh, going
Continue to play aggressive. It's a 5v4. I mean, how much can you really defend this as Unicorns of Love?
You can't defend it. And that's 2 inhibitors down, just like that. In the end, they forgot about Darshan, and that's 2 inhibitors taken by the CLG top laner. Unicorns of Love with a bit of a desperation push coming out of the bot lane now. Xsmithy low health, but as long as he stays safe, CLG should be able to press this advantage.
All right, so 5,000 gold up, double inhibitor down, and those will be dead for both the Dragon and the Baron coming back up. I don't see how I mean, they could, but I don't see how CLG could screw that one up. At this point, they're pretty much guaranteed those next 2 major objectives, which should signal an end game push.
And for me, plays like these are just very enjoyable to watch. No real altercations, just pressure play, left and right. You force people to make a predictable play. Like CLG was putting the Unicorns in an impossible spot. Either they try to 1v1 Darshan, they can't, so they need to send 2, which leaves 4v3 in the bottom. The only play they have is to hard engage on the remaining 4 members of CLG in the bottom. CLG reads that, they disengage. But when they realize that Unicorns are catching on what they're doing, they turn. They just kill one of them extra. Allows another inhibitor to be taken down. So many layers moving back and forth here for CLG, showing that the framework is still there. Good shot calling.
Well, Hylissang goes for a grab, doesn't quite land it. They want to keep CLG from taking this Baron. It's going to be up in 30 seconds. About 20 seconds till that next Dragon.
Curious they're not doing Dragon first, since it'd be pretty easy to pick up, and it's 12 seconds before the Baron. They just don't seem to care about that.
Whoa, wow, a ton of damage on a Fox. He did not need to be right there. Stixay does plenty of damage himself. Rocket jump to get away. Couple of kicks.
Well, with Fox out of the way, CLG may just be able to push this into base. Darshan taking a lot of damage against Vizichachi, but here comes Hui. A lot of damage back onto Vizichachi again. Meanwhile, the fight up by the top inhibitor, where it used to be Hylissang separated from his team, and CLG takes down Gilius as well in just a moment. Maybe, not I guess they won't. They'll go after Silly back to 80 carry, more valuable. There's a double kill coming in for Stixay, and with that, only Gilius lives through the fight, and CLG is going to take a 2-0 here at IEM San Jose on day 1. They will advance to day 2 as they take down the Nexus. Don't even need that second Baron, and that is it. GG for CLG.
2 33-minute victories, and Counterlogic Gaming, just like Team Solo Mid, have 2-0'd their quarterfinal opponents here in day 1. Definitely good redemption matches for how bad North America played during the World Championship, going 0-10 in the second week of the group stages. Starting out strong here, getting past the first round at all is better than NA's done in a while in international tournaments. So good to see these guys come up with a new roster that many people thought were downgrades kind of across the board here, but looking like pretty much the same CLG.
Yeah. It's just, we have to wait until Stixay gets challenged in lane. I think that's because in terms of macro play, the role Doublelift would have had in a team that plays a similar style right now is what Stixay can deliver, but it's when he gets challenged in the lane right now, before all these rotations starts happening, that's where maybe we can see the difference between Doublelift and Stixay. As for Hui, I think he did a good job so far. He hasn't been playing the utility roles that the CLG kind of put Povelt around. So one could argue that it's a side grade or someone on the same level, and we'll have to really see what the loss of a star player like Doublelift does to CLG, but perhaps what they gain in team atmosphere, in a fresh start, in the environment, may be enough to put them in a higher level.
Well, I actually saw Smithy play incredibly better. Like, he got made fun of a lot during the North American LCS Summer Split. People were wondering why they even picked him up. It looked really bad. All the memes about his Sejuani ultimates. But he played so well both games this series. To me, like, quality of play-wise, he was the best player on CLG. From just the mechanical execution, being in the right place at the right time, catching the right people, perfect barrels. Incredibly solid by Smithy.
You know, and at the end of the day, whenever you have these big roster changes like that, you kind of have to go back to the basics, don't you? You kind of have to have just that coordination. It doesn't really matter so much if the team is making these wrong decisions, as long as everybody's making them together. You need the coordination first, and then you build on the good decision-making after that. So I think CLG managed to do that quite handily. And with that, guys, we're going to send it over to the analyst desk to break down that game. I'm sorry, going to an interview to see how CLG feels after winning that 2-0. I bet it's pretty happy. Let's find out.
Congratulations, Afro Moon. So, you know what? No one really knew what to expect out of you guys. But after that win, how do you guys feel about the new roster?
We felt pretty good coming into the event, and I felt good especially since KOO and SKT definitely performed above our expectations in scrims, and they just have to learn how to translate it onto stage. But you know, we had a little rough bumps throughout the game, but it was really, couldn't be more proud of my guys.
In the past, your style of play has really revolved around double lift. I have to ask you now, was that the issue maybe all along?
The issue all along, I wouldn't say so. We definitely performed well with double lift as well, but we can still do it with other people as well.
Taking the high road, I like that. The guys at the desk were very pleased with your picks and bans. How much does it have to move with Tony moving into the head coach position?
He's always done our picks and bans, but I think in the past we've kind of been prevented from picking certain things towards comps. Rather, we would pick where people would feel comfortable. So it was really hard to do both. And before we would do picks towards comps. And so some people would play stuff that they don't like, but now we're able to do both now that we have 2 young players on the roster that we're allowed to foster. So it's really good.
Well, next up for you guys is the Jin Air Green Wings. We know they're not the best team from Korea, but they are from Korea. Are you guys worried, or do you think your fans should have a little faith?
We're not really worried. Jin Air Green Wings, I don't really know anything about them. We're going to find out after this game. So we're just really confident going into the match, and really we're just looking to focus on ourselves rather than the opponent. So just make sure that our new guys can get acclimated to the environment for the upcoming year.
It's a good way to look at it. Congratulations, Aframu.
Thank you.
Chobra, back to you.
Yep, congratulations to Aframu, and of course his team I almost said his team San Jose, but his team CLG. Aframu was actually just not representing San Jose. No, CLG, and you saw that grin on his face after the win. I mean, sure, it's not a final of a tournament. He didn't win some title, but you know, to win with these 2 guys who were very untested, you know, it's got to feel good no matter what scenario it was.
And regardless of the faults that CLG may have had, or the bones they were thrown by Unicorns of Love in the draft and in their gameplay, undoubtedly they have had the best macro game that we've seen today. Undoubtedly. That was a very smooth, crisp performance that we saw, especially in that second game.
I think what you're really going to be seeing, or what you really need to see out of CLG is, are they going to be able to lane against people that have equal level mechanics as them, or higher level mechanics? Because I think if they do end up against like TSM or even like Jin Air, I think that those players aren't just going to roll over and die, kind of like how Unicorns of Love did. So those macro play decisions that they are making, they're making great decisions, but if you can't even get to the point in the game where you get out of lane phase, it's not going to happen.
Right. And the caveat here, too, is that, yes, they did make some very good decisions. They did snowball very well in the mid-game, but this was a composition that Unicorns of Love drafted where they showed their solo lanes early. They had very low early wave clear and virtually no power in the mid-game. And so it is rather easy if you start getting ahead to just snowball and crush this particular team composition. But they executed it very well.
Yep. Steve, how did you see CLG And I think all of you guys do agree that, sure, the macro game was good. But what about you? Any other thoughts? Or, yeah, overall, seems pretty good so far.
I'm going to agree with what Freak said on the caster desk just a moment ago, and that Xmithie really was the MVP to look at for that team. And there were some pretty decently sized issues. Obviously, Stixxay getting soloed out in the bot lane is never really what you want to see. But as a team, when they were fighting together, when they were moving together as a team, they looked very good overall. Individual players obviously need some work. There needs to be a little bit better communication. But overall, I'd say this is a very promising start for a very young lineup.
You know, it seems like everything's sunshine so far for CLG. And, you know, for North America, you got to be pretty happy that TSM comes in. Everyone's like, well, they have these superstars, can't work out. They beat LGD. CLG comes in. Everyone's like, we have no idea what to expect. But, hey, it looks like they've got the foundation, at least, for overall game sense. It's still there. It's just a matter of now bringing up the individual talent. And you mentioned it. Crepo was mentioning it, too. What happens when they get challenged in lane? What happens when their mechanics get challenged? Can they still grow out of that into a macro game? We'll have to find out. You know, maybe Jin Air. Do you think Jin Air will be the team to challenge that?
It's really hard to tell because just from watching the Kespa Cup games of Jin Air, they really, especially in their games versus CJ, they really disrespected the enemy teleport and they were overcommitting. And so if you react well against Jin Air, I think CLG can take this. I think CLG, just from what we've seen so far, does, in the limited sample size that we've had with these two new rosters, appear to have a better macro game.
Yep. Okay. And the big question for me is the mismatch in younger players. Obviously, you have a young AD carry on the side, and Stixxay on the side of CLG, and you have a young top laner on the side of Jin Air, and so on. And so the big issue is, you know, is Zion going to be able to shove that advantage of having more experience playing with his team, or is the bot lane of Pilot and Shay going to be able to take out Stixxay early on and kind of find an advantage there?
Yeah, well, let's find out. Of course, that's one of the matches coming up tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, we had the 2 matches today. And just as a reminder, TSM and CLG moving on tomorrow. They will be playing in semifinals against Origin for TSM and against the Jin Air Green Wings for CLG. If you missed any of our games today, don't forget to check out the Score Esports. You can download the app from the App Store or Google Play to find out score, stats, and all sorts of news throughout this weekend for the Intel.